One of the first big internationals of the year, listeners, is done and dusted. What a weekend at the Setters Run Farm Carolina International. Holly Hudspeth is back with me. Holly, you were in the hot seat all weekend in the commentary box, but I first of all want to say it looked like such a glorious weekend of sunny, happy, lovely eventing. What a way to properly kickstart 2024's eventing season.
I could not agree with you more. It was a beautiful weekend. I got a huge shout out to the Carolina Horse Park, the organizing committee. They left no stone unturned. It was beautiful, lush green. Like I said, the weather was good. The footing was great. Good competition, well-designed courses, huge bummer Ian Stark. He was in the booth with me for a lot of the 4-star. And bummer that he's leaving. Derek DeGrasse will be stepping in his place, but he gave a really nice speech on Saturday afternoon. So just want to wish him all the best as he moves forward with a kind of a new part of his life.
I was going to say, I mean, he's held off retirement for quite a while, and knowing how nervous Ian gets when he designs a course, he would not be a relaxed designer. He would not find it an enjoyable experience. I mean, I'm sure he finds it enjoyable afterwards and the whole process enjoyable, but he wouldn't sit there and enjoy and relax everybody heading out the start box. He gets so nervous, more nervous than when he was riding. And I know he is going to enjoy lots of time skiing, lots of time with his family, his lovely grandkids. But we are sure going to miss his courses. We've still got plenty of them this year. Maryland 5-star at the end of the year is going to be the big one that we're very, very sad about. And Derek's a pretty good super sub to be coming in for 2025. But Ian, who actually, Holly, I have to say as well, not only was he course designing, not only was he commentating with you, but he also dusted off his show boots this weekend.
Yes, it was hilarious. He rode a sale horse of Caroline's. They were doing a pro-am tour for the national divisions, and it was really fun. He had a great time, but yeah, it was pretty funny. And Caroline was joking. It was like, Ian, I think you actually need to buy this horse and take this back with you. So it was pretty funny.
Ian's wife, Jenny, would be saying, absolutely not, Caroline. Do not put any ideas in his head. How did he eventually end up on the placings? Because I saw when he was well placed going into the cross country.
Yes, I will look that up. I'm not exactly sure. My daughter had a horse show up in Virginia, so I drove 5 hours after I got off the live stream on Saturday to head up to watch her yesterday. But I will pull that up.
Oh, bless you. You were properly busy. We will double check, listeners, what you do for your kids. Well, my child has absolutely zero interest in horses, listeners, and not keen. Apparently found a box of Lego at the weekend with his dad, Holly, and found a little toy rider that had obviously come off like a toy horse. And he looked at it, made a very unimpressed sound, was like, don't know what that's doing in there, and put it to one side and went back to his Lego. And I was like, oh, no, still no love of horses coming. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about our winner, because Mix Master C led from the front with Liz Halliday. They were the highest rated horse on the EquiRatings ELO coming into the competition, Mix Master C. They were the favourites, big favourites this weekend, Holly. And actually, they delivered in every single phase. They dominated this weekend, didn't they?
Oh my gosh, she sure did. And what was so, on the cross country going in, she had 5.2 penalties to play with, and she still came in inside the time. I think she finished actually right on the exact time. It was 6:28. So that was a huge mic drop for her, because I know she was a little bit frustrated after the Aiken showcase. But she looked phenomenal. And Cooley Nutcracker, which is one of probably her second horse in her strings, which is one of my absolute favorites. He had a phenomenal go as well, finishing 5th in the class. But it was competitive. Ian's cross-country tracks have generally been a bit more difficult for the riders, and we really didn't see, which is, he didn't change the course a lot. So I think it's a testament to the riders coming out more prepared in this 2024 season. I mean, we had mostly clear rounds. We had one person pop off, and then we had 3 people with a 20, and that was all we had. Like I said, when he was in the booth for show jumping, I said, Ian, are you going out on a bang? Are you going out, did you make anything crazy hard? And he said, no. He said, it's a lot like last year. So, this was probably the best field we've had tackling his course, because there really weren't a lot of issues. Not that we want to see issues, but it just is a good testament to the combinations that came out in 2024 and really did a good job.
And actually, that's huge credit to Ian. I know Jane Murray and team, when they brought Ian over to start designing in Carolina a few years ago now, there was, I'm sure, a lot of discussion around his courses and a lot of discussion around the type of challenge. And the idea was very much that they wanted not only Carolina to be a very, very fair test, a true test at the level, but a good Kentucky preparation. We spoke to Will Fordry about that on the preview show as well. And to really expose riders to a different course designer at a different, a very strong level. And I think you're totally hitting the nail on the head. Ian did a really, really good job, but the riders did a great job. And they came out and they delivered, and helped by, very good conditions, which always does help as well, doesn't it? When the footing's really good and the weather's nice, you don't have that sort of extra challenge. 22.5 was the score on which Liz started, faultless in the show jumping, and dot on the optimum time at cross country, one of only, I think, 3 people to make it. Doug Payne, Quantum Leap, and then Waylon Roberts, OKE, Ruby R were the others. So all 3 finished inside the top 10. But it wasn't a straightforward task to come home inside the 6:28.
No, his tracks are so good and they are so solid. But I've said this from day one when people are like, oh, it might be a little bit much. Those combinations going on in Kentucky in a month's time, if you can jump around that track, you are set and ready to go. And there's so much thought that goes into Ian's courses. And so, you know what, it's okay to go. And maybe, if there is a little blip or a little issue, you can go back to the drawing board, know what you need to work on for Kentucky. But I'll tell you, if you can jump around, his courses really, the horses get better and better as they go around. And I got to tell you, I'm just so impressed with how he designs and how well the horses come off. And this weekend was just really spectacular.
Let's talk for a second about Liz's other rides, because you've already touched upon Cooley Nutcracker, who jumped another very good double clear, actually, to finish in 5th. Cooley Quicksilver ended up just outside the top 10, the only one of Liz's 4, actually, to have a rail in the jumping. She held 4 of the top 5 positions after dressage. Cooley Moonshine was the 4th of her rides, who was actually, I think, lying in 2nd going into the cross country, and on a score of 25.5, and Liz electing to withdraw. So I don't have any more information on that. It could be where the horse is in his preparation. Obviously had a bit of time off at the end of last season, maybe not ready to run cross country. I don't know. Fingers crossed, all's good there and we'll see him out. But actually Liz was very confident on all of her rides. You felt like she had a plan and she executed that plan. It was also, I should say as well, actually one of the best finishing scores we have seen at the venue. I'm just going to double check for you, listeners. It doesn't come near to Will Coleman's record finishing score, which is 19.4 from last year with Chin Tonic. I think that's going to take some beating, but it is the second best score we have seen. Third best score, sorry. Yeah. Mixed Master C holds the second and the third best. So 20.9 he scored last year. A very paltry 22.5 in 2024. So, still very impressive. Who else for you stood out in the top 10?
Oh, I've got to say Carolyn and HSH Blake, the reigning gold medalist from last year's Pan Am Games. That horse looked spectacular. And I know we talked about it in the preview show that, somewhat new to the level, still developing, a little bit of a younger horse. But I'll tell you, she only added 2.8 to the time. That horse looked spectacular the entire weekend. And Megan O'Donoghue and Palm Crescent, that horse is 18 years young. It's a horse that I've watched for many, many years. Jan Binney had it early on. And, it's a full thoroughbred. And I know they can on occasion be a little bit tricky, but it looked phenomenal this weekend. I mean, they had 1.6 on their time to finish in the third spot. So they look great. And of course, a favorite of both yours and mine, the QC Diamond Tear, Sid Elliott's horse. He was spot on as well, only adding 1.6. And like you said, there were only 3 inside the time, so the time notoriously is really challenging to get. I will say, we were talking about, too, from the Aiken Showcase a few weeks ago, that Waylon Roberts horse, that OKE Ruby R, she's very green and very tricky. And Waylon came in the booth a little bit, and I'm pretty sure he was the first double clear of the day. He was the only combination with that horse at the Aiken Showcase to be inside the time. Everybody else had penalties. And I was just talking to Waylon, and I said, what an exciting horse for the future. And he said, she is not everybody's ride. She likes to be left alone. She does her thing. And I said, hats off to you, because, it takes a brave rider to be able to do that at that level. So that was really fun to watch, actually. I think that's going to be a great horse for him for the future.
It's exciting for Canada as well. They come into 2024 off the back of a very, very good win in the Pan American Games. And they took that team gold ahead of Team USA. It was very, very tight at the end of the day, but you can't help but feel that actually there is a good deal of momentum with them coming into this year, and they'll be excited about what they can achieve. So the OKE Ruby R horse does need to step up to the 4-star long level. Hasn't run at that level yet. Has only got a couple of 4-star shorts under their belt, so back end of last year. So perhaps we're getting ahead of ourselves to put them into the Paris mix, but you should be thinking about it. You should be thinking about, right, what they've got coming up and coming through. And there's a lot that can still change in the next couple of weeks. I absolutely have no doubt about that. I would just do another shout out, Sydney Elliott, QC Diamond Hair, who were very, very good, actually. And I was particularly impressed because they've sometimes been a little bit steadier in terms of the speed cross country. They've picked up a few time penalties, particularly at the sort of the 4-star short level, which is ultimately the hardest level to achieve the time cross country, because it is an intense roller coaster of number of jumping efforts in a short space of time. But to have gone so close to the time, I think it is really, really exciting for them. And I'm sure they've got big plans this spring. Am I right in thinking, if we just go to the Megan O'Donoghue Palm Crescent results, did I read that Palm Crescent is badminton bound?
He could be. I had not heard that or read that, but it would not surprise me.
That would be super, super exciting.
Wouldn't it though? I mean, and like I said, he's got a little bit of age, but he did not show it this weekend. A huge testament to her care of that horse. He looked absolutely spot on and amazing. And something, you got to strike when the iron's hot in this sport, don't you? I mean, there's so many little nuances that can happen. So I hope she does. That'd be really exciting for her. He's on top form.
It's also going to be really exciting as to where people are planning to take their horses. So one thing that we've kind of touched upon there's a new USDA podcast listeners coming out with Bobby Costello in the next couple of weeks. I think it'll be out next week, actually. So it's not long to wait, but we talk a little bit more there in terms of where people are planning to target their horses, and particularly the big 4 versus 5 Kentucky debate, which I think I am right in saying that actually Liz said post win with Mixmaster C, that Mixmaster C will go to Kentucky for the 4 shorts. Cooley Nutcracker is heading to the 5-star. So that's quite exciting for them. I imagine HSH Blake isn't 5-star qualified. He's still got to do a 4-star long, but could well see him in the 4-star short at Kentucky as well. And so it feels like that there's some really, really exciting plans on the horizon, and they're going to start to take shape over the next couple of weeks. And it is actually, I just double checked there quickly. Palm Crescent is going to badminton. So that is the plan. So that's really exciting for them.
So exciting. Yeah, Will Coleman came in with me to commentate for the 1-star show jump class, and I was talking to him about his plans for his amazing horses, Chin Tonic and Off the Record. And I think both of those will be planning on doing the 4-star short at Kentucky. Yeah. And the Diablo will be going on to the 5-star. And I said, what are your other plans for Chin Tonic especially? I said, are you going to please bubble wrap him until Paris? And he said, can't do that, Holly, not yet. But he said a couple weeks time, he's going to take the horses to Aiken, to Stableview. He said he does like to change it up a little bit. He does like to go to some different venues, and Stableview, another really nice venue, obviously on the East Coast here. So his plan will be to do Stableview and then go to Kentucky. And
4 short is going to be super, super competitive, because I think we're going to end up with a lot of the big guns kind of lining up in it. Interestingly, Diabolo and Will finished 8th here, and that horse looked really smart in all 3 phases. They're really kind of cementing their partnership together now. The horse was produced by Gemma Tinney over in Australia, but they actually look like they're getting to know each other really well, and is an exciting third string and I say third string using that loosely just because you're talking about Gin Tonic and Off the Record, who are both exceptional horses.
Yes.
They're very much leading his charge at the moment.
Yeah, and I want to say too, I know Boyd Martin just had the one horse in the class. He finished 12th. Miss Lulu herself, who also looked really great, had a double clear in the show jump, really good on the cross country, just a handful of time faults. But watching him in the 1-star, he's got some really nice young horses coming up, probably the best that I've ever seen him have in his career. So it'll be really exciting to see, those horses in a few years, because I'll tell you, they were really nice to watch.
I feel like only one horse in the 4-star for Boyd. I mean, I'm sure he had plenty over the rest of the show, but I feel like that's almost a holiday for him. It's very rare that he wouldn't have a whole bag load of different horses to focus on. Doug Payne and Quantum Leap, who have been really impressive here in the past, actually finished on their dressage score. One of only 2 horses to do so. Liz Halliday and Mixmaster C were the other to do so. Quantum Leap, 5-star warrior, I would say. I mean, he's not overly old. I think he's like 13 this year, but actually, I'm sure the plan is another tilt at Kentucky or possibly even Badminton. I don't know. I would imagine Kentucky this spring. But again, he just showed, rising from, what was he, equal 24th after dressage?
Correct. Yeah.
Finished in eventual 6th.
Yep. Yeah, he had a 34.9 to score on the flat, and then he show jumped beautifully. Mark Donovan did a great job designing the course, and that horse looked amazing, and of course, well inside the time, 6:21. So that is that horse's MO. He can be a little, on occasion, tougher on the flat. Usually is not in the top 10 after the flat, but boy, always comes up with good jump rounds. And Doug's success in terms of clean rounds at that level, he was, I think, the highest ranked rider, if I'm not mistaken, according to EquiRatings, in terms of clean rounds at the Carolina International.
He has an unbelievable record at the venue, actually. I'll just double check, actually. See, so nobody has ever won having a rail. That continues on with Liz this year. Yep. Riders with the most clear rounds. Here we go. Doug Payne, over a 60% strike rate, 11 from 18. So he can increase that this weekend with that clear round as well. He's got that. That's one of the strongest that there is. Liz Halliday actually has an insane record of number of clear show jumping rounds in the 4-star. Holly. I mean, she was 8 from 11 coming into this weekend. So she's what now? 8, 9, 10, 11 from 14, 15, 11 from 15, which is extraordinary.
Yeah. And, having the most FEI wins currently in the past 5 years in the entire world, she can now add another one to that record.
She can. I am sure, will be pitching for most international wins of 2024 as well. She'll be. She's a competitive lady, is Liz Halliday. Can I ask you, who else stood out for you that was a highlight for the weekend?
Well, somebody that was, first timers at the horse park. You and I talked a little bit in the beginning that Cassie Sanger and Fern Hill Zorro, they were in the top 10 after the dressage. They just had one pole down, which was a little bit unfortunate because the horse was jumping really, really well, and only 4.4 to add on the clock. And I think first time at Carolina tackling Mark and Ian's courses, I thought they looked pretty impressive. She's
a really, really smart jockey. I'm sure she's only about 19. She's definitely got huge things ahead of her. Will Fordry's fun. Actually, we talked about him on the preview show. We spoke to Will and his plans for the weekend, and the horse did have a lot of fun. He loves it there at the horse park. He ended up another top 10 finish for them. And we've actually skipped over Jenny Brannigan, FE Lifestyle, who come here off the back of, that brilliant top 12 finish at Burghley last year. Mm-hmm. Jenny has been in some really good form, and actually they picked up a solid dressage, clear round show jumping, and just 4 seconds cross country to finish in 7th place. So very impressive from them. I must just say, I have started my eventing manager season, listeners, and I think I might be wise to quit while I'm ahead, because my eventing manager form is fairly sketchy, if I'm honest. I am regularly well outside the top 500, but I had a 29th place finish, Holly. I was pretty impressed with myself.
That is really good. What was your final score?
95.4. I had Liz and Mixmaster C. I had Will Fordry and Fun, and I had Doug and Quantum Leap.
Okay, so my final score was 115. I had Liz and Mixmaster C as well, but I Doug and Camarillo, who actually were the highest placed of his after the first day. And then I had Sid Elliott, QC Diamond Tear, and then I rounded it out with Allison and Van Dyke. So I was not as good as you, but I was close.
Very, very close. It was a very good weekend, actually. It was lovely to have sunny eventing, the live stream back in action on Horse and Country, and some really, really smart competition as well. Holly, what did the next few weeks look like for you? Because obviously eventing over in the US feels like it's really sort of kicked into gear now. The countdown to Kentucky is well and truly on. What's on the horizon?
Yep. So in 2 weeks' time, or actually less than 2 weeks' time, I'm heading to Terra Nova to run the live stream for the 4-star there. So I'm really looking forward to it. It'd be my first time at that venue. So I am, I'm quite excited about it. They have the 4 short and some other FEI divisions in the spring, and then they run the 4 long in the fall. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll be back again.
That's really cool. And actually, we've got a few big 4-star shorts on the horizon, Terra Nova being one. We have got Stable View in Aiken being another. There's going to be some good opportunities to see some of those US horses pre-Kentucky. And we will have, listeners, a bit of a reaction show to the entries on Kentucky as soon as they are available for you. So do stay tuned for that. We've also got a behind-the-scenes Kentucky podcast coming for you in the next week or so. Recorded it. In fact, it might be due out on Wednesday, listeners. I'm going to double check for you now because it is well worth listening to. It is due out on Friday. There we go. Okay. It is with the team behind the cross-country course at Kentucky. So we've got Derek DeGrazia, we've got Jay Hambley, we've got Mick Costello, Tyson Ramenta, and the course builders as well. We've got Mick, Tyson, Levi, all joining us to give us a real insight into what goes on behind the scenes for the cross country. And listeners, Derek gives us a few sneaky secrets on this year's track, which is very exciting. Holly, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show. And thank you very much for all of your insights on Carolina.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Listeners, I hope you have enjoyed the Setters Run Farm Carolina International. The 4-star was brought to you by Yanmar. Brilliant to have them on board again this year, and looking forward to seeing how that form plays out over the coming weeks. For now, though, that is all we've got time for. We will be back with lots more on the Eventing podcast very soon. As I say, that Inside Kentucky show coming up at the end of the week. And there is a Wandin Park preview show. So we're going from the US to Australia to some of the best Australian horses on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. For now, massive thank you for tuning in.
EquiRatings horse sales, a relatively new direction for the company. It's been going on in the background for a little while now, but time to tell you a little bit more about it. First of all, Sam, how does this work?
We cast the net over everything. And firstly, it's not just what have we got, it's like what are we even looking for? Like what attributes do we need? So that's the first part of the process, being like, what should we be looking for?
Call there.
Nicole, you ring us there, right? Like let's go to alphabetic days. Remember those days?
All right, Sam.
Yeah.
I am looking for a horse. It is for a young rider who is very decent jockey.
Cool.
And well produce their own young horses, but actually they've got 1 year left in young riders. It's their last chance to go and win a gold medal. And so we want something that has the potential to be on the individual podium and hopefully part of the team at the Young Rider European Championships.
Okay. So the things I'm picking up on. First, we got immediate goal for the Young Rider European Championships, and again for the primary part of that goal to be successful, to be on the podium. We can then look back again through those 15 championships and see what does it take to win. Where do those horses and where do the majority of those horses, where are they at 9 months out from at the end of the year before their championship year? What does it take to win? What does it look like in terms of scores and targets and things like that? and then where should they be at? That's the first thing. What is achieving that goal actually look like, and where should the horse be at now, and on what metrics? So we'll look at phase influence, because you've said to me young rider, so they're still going to be at that 3-star long level. There's still a big emphasis on dressage. It is the most influential phase, and then it's show jumping, and then it's cross country. You don't need to buy a speed machine. We know what we need and what attributes we need. We're going to now whittle over 7,500 horses down to a draft. You're going to have your draft of the top 1% of horses in the world that are most suitable for your goal. But we're going to bring in other factors. Like, you're in England. You might not want to go to Australia or America to try a horse. But what you said as well about being a good rider, you might just, out of a preference thing, be like, look, talk to my trainer, and okay, maybe we want them in the draft, but we're going to definitely place emphasis on horses that maybe aren't ridden by, you know, a 6-foot man because who's won loads of championships, because my daughter, you know. So we've had those requests before. Finding the most suitable horses, and then all our intelligence and the numbers, the metrics that we create, like these ratings like ELO that you hear us talking about all the time, that actually correlate to future performance. That's the key. They actually matter. We're using all those in the beginning. Now we've got what's optimal for you and some of your preferences that suit you. And then our team go in and they'll contact everyone about these horses. We're getting videos from riders, getting as much information. This is all about, the key here, folks, is you can make an informed decision.
Sam Lissington, are you ready to take on Fairfax and Favour's quick fire questions?
Ready.
Okay, let's go. What is your party trick?
Probably enthusiastic dancing, but that doesn't mean I'm any good at dancing.
Enthusiasm is all you need. That's fine. Which bee is your favourite? Bags, boots, or belts?
Boots, then belts, then bags.
What was your favourite subject in school?
I think English.
Sam Lissington, thank you for playing Fairfax and Favour's quickfire questions.
Thanks for having me.